So I wanted to talk about the best places that are close to Denver where you can do a non-owner occupant Airbnb. So short-term rentals on Airbnb, VRBO, or any of those short-term rental sites are going to be dependent on the jurisdiction that you live in. So Denver, Colorado, if you live in Denver, Colorado, you cannot Airbnb your home unless it is your primary residence. So you might live there full time and then you rent it out on the weekends, or you own a duplex and you rent out one of the sides of the duplex. All of that is fine. But technically you can't buy a property and then rent out that whole property on Airbnb. But there are 3 places where you can do that. So Aurora is just southeast of Denver proper. And Aurora there, you can be a non-owner occupant Airbnber. So if you would like to buy an entire house, I have a client that's very successful at this actually. He owns an entire house and rents out each room on Airbnb short-term rental. And he's making a killing doing that. We're actually looking for his second property right now. Aurora is a relatively cheap place that you can get into the Airbnb game in comparison to some of the other areas that I'm about to mention. So next place is Wheat Ridge. Not every single location in Wheat Ridge can you be a non-owner Airbnb host, but in certain places you can still Airbnb your entire property and not own it. So you could buy it as an investment property and immediately go and Airbnb it. And Airbnbs in Wheat Ridge make a killing. I have 2 clients actually that have Airbnbs in Wheat Ridge, and they're both doing exceptionally well. Almost their entire mortgage is covered by them Airbnb one space. So they're not even Airbnb their entire place, which you can do in Wheat Ridge. Again, we have to be cautious about the places in even Wheat Ridge where you buy because they have it divided into 3 zones. So certainly work with a real estate agent who understands what your goals are and what you're trying to purchase. The third place I want to talk about is Littleton. So Littleton, you can also own an entire property and Airbnb that entire property full time. There are some properties in Littleton that are netting over $50,000 a year in profit. So it's an exceptional opportunity. Certainly all of these rules and regulations are kind of changing all the time. So it's something that you want to be cautious of. And I always advise my clients, yes, you might want to be Airbnb this property because it's the way you're going to make the most money on any property is to do short-term rentals. But let's talk about some other potential options that you would have in case the jurisdiction changes their policy on Airbnbs. How would you manage that? So ultimately, the guide for getting a property that you can rent out short-term would be to work with a real estate agent that's going to be able to advise you and also protect you along the way.